Hi there, I'm Molly,
And I'm Jamie. We're the owners of Hired Hand Software.
and this is season 6 of our From the Pasture podcast. For more than 15 years, we've been helping breeders promote their pedigree livestock with our easy to use, animal management driven website software.
Each week, we bring you stories from the pasture, breeding philosophies, ranch traditions, cattle knowledge, and conversation with folks using Hired Hand to power their livestock marketing.
So settle in for today's episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand.
I'm here with Justin Rombeck, one of the sale hosts for the upcoming Midwest Association sale, which is held in Marysville, Kansas. Justin and I will be talking about the sale details, sponsors, consigners, and of course, the consignments. As we talk about the consignments, you can follow along on hiredhandlive.com. And if you want to dig deeper, take a look at the consigners' Hired Hand websites. Well, let's get into it, Justin. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me today.
So for those who may not know you, can you give a brief introduction of yourself?
Justin Rombeck got into Longhorns back in 1997 as an FFA project and continued to develop that. Did some ranch managing like 100 years ago, it seems like. Developed into a consulting business, continued to grow our own cattle operation and be involved with a lot of different entities. Longhorn Opportunities was our first business. At our highest, I think we were at 35 customers. But now with family getting bigger and kids and sports, cut that back to about 15 people and, just trying to be dad, cow guy, consultant, sale host, all the things.
Yep. Well, we're going to talk specifically about one of those things today, which is the Midwest sale. This is the second year that you have helped host the sale. How are you feeling this year with the sale? A little less stressed than you were last year?
I think everything is coming together quite nicely. Getting a lot of positive energy and phone calls with just the quality of the consignments and the depth of pedigrees. So again, I think we've got really good energy moving forward. There's been a few little hiccups and delays on getting catalogs out this year. Some of our development individuals had some health concerns and slowed down just a little bit. Uh, you know, Not blaming anybody. God has a plan for everything. But with everything on Hired Hand, we've got the online catalog. Everything is coming together quite nicely, and there's really good energy. I think we're going to have a really nice sale. We've got consigners from 7 different states, and last year I think we had buyers from 13 different states, and we'll get into haulers and all that other stuff here in a minute. But there is really good energy.
Well, great. So let's talk about what happens on Thursday. Can you give us a rundown what Longhorns on Broadway means?
This is something that mom and dad came up with, and I'm really excited about it. Up here in our area, Joe Solacek, he grew up here near us as well. So between Joe and us, like, hey, you're the Longhorn guys in the area, and we have had good energy with that, and we had good energy after last year's sale. The local newspaper doing articles, as well as the Grass and Grain. It's a Midwestern publication that goes out to about 35,000 different readers weekly, and it goes to 5 different states. So again, positive energy is building, and people are going, well, what else is going on with the Longhorns? So they came up with the idea, Longhorns on Broadway. We had bought a steer that was at the World Show last year, and my daughters have been working with him, especially Aubrey, and trying to get him started to where he can become a riding steer. So we're going to do a little parade. The city is going to shut down the highway. We're going to walk him about 3 blocks, and we're going to go to one of the original Pony Express museums, where we're also going to have another 5-year-old steer that's 110 inches tip to tip. People can come by, hand feed, and just have a Longhorn experience. The city is involved with that. The old museum is involved with that, and just trying to get more engagement and showcasing what the breed has to offer. We also, with this, inviting people to come out to the sale barn to look at animals on Friday, and just trying to get new people excited about Longhorns. that have never been. Last year we had, I don't know, probably 50 to 100 locals show up, and a few of them bought cows just because they thought they were cool. They may not breed them to a Longhorn, but they just thought it'd be neat to have something different in the pasture. So this is just a continuing to expand on that good energy, and it's been very well received. We had a picked up a nail in a tire yesterday, and the lady at the tire shop goes, "Hey, we're going to be at that. Tell me what's all going on." And they just it's new, it's fun, and they're excited about it. We like the community involvement aspect.
Well, and you mentioned cattle viewing on Friday. What time can they view cattle on Friday?
Um, we've got some cattle that are coming in from Texas that'll probably be here on Thursday evening. We prefer everybody to hold off uh, on viewing until Friday. I would say most animals are going to be in place by 2, and uh, they can go out, look at animals, view all the animals in numerical order. And as they're doing that, we'll be prepping everything for the Friday night party here at our place. We have, I think it's 5:30 is we're doing the award ceremony, recognizing individuals um, that have been impactful within this area. So that'll be nice to see recognition going to those individuals of current and past that have made their mark within the Texas Longhorn industry and positively affecting Kansas and surrounding states as well. Right behind that, we're going to have supper. Um, Hutchins Barbecue, they have donated Wagyu brisket for us to serve. If you guys haven't had it, it is some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your life. Um, Trey and his brother, they are simply best individuals. They're getting more and more engaged within this Longhorn deal as well. But we appreciate them. Traditional baked beans, potato salad, potato chips. We're going to do some homemade different desserts. When folks are about done eating, we're going to go into a breeders roundtable. Todd McKnight will be hosting that and just asking questions to these individuals, which is going to be Megan Vardman from Rockin' RB, a newer perspective, but she is crazy smart, loves the genetics, wonderful business woman. She's in partnership with their folks on the Rockin' RB. So she'll be one of our guest speakers. Micah Landis from Landis Farms, very diversified with ag, grew up around horses, but she brings a different perspective. And they're very diversified, not only in agriculture, but also in business. We've got Barb Shakota that is going to be one of the speakers or questionnaires on the roundtable. Again, also very diversified. She's had numerous online stores, physical stores, oil and gas business. They're putting together an outstanding herd. And then Mark Gilliland. Mark's been in the business, I think, for 10, 11 years. So maybe the most senior on this panel, but he's developed a great set of animals. He's had high seller at Legacy Sale. He was part of the Casanova Syndicate. They did some of the different Spotlight Bulls this last year. He is on the Marlboro Man. So Mark's done outstanding things as well. And each of these will have different aspects that they see that they can contribute and maybe help other people getting started or just giving new perspective to the industry. And then we'll take a few questions from the floor when it's all said and done. But we expect that to take roughly 45 minutes. And then we'll just have music playing and expect people to have a good time.
And where will the party awards dinner, this roundtable, where will that all take place?
That is at Amanda and Mai's primary residence.
Same
Let's
location
see.
as last year?
The same location as last year. We're basically halfway between Marysville and Seneca. It's 1405 26th Road, Axtell, Kansas. But same location as last year. We'll have signage up, and you won't miss it.
Well, let's talk about Saturday. What happens right away in the morning?
On Saturday, we have a breakfast sponsor, Jay and Angela Cohen from Commitment Ranch. We go into cattle viewing directly beyond that as well. Um, I think that Dad said they're going to do a little talk with the kids. The veterinarian was going to do that. Unfortunately, she lost her mother-in-law, so she's not going to be able to do that. They have the celebration of life that same day. The other vet did not want to do the presentation, so Dad still wanted to talk to the kids directly. Um, but we'll have that, and we'll go into more detail on that here in just a minute. But people can do the viewing. We'll do a recap for the folks that missed the party on Friday night. We'll do a recap on our sponsors and the award winners, and then jump into the sale. Our auctioneer again this year is Sean Sayer out of Missouri. Our pedigree reader is Joe Solacek. The sale barn itself, Marysville Life, Stock and Commission, they'll be handling all the clerking this year. Internet bidding will be done through hired hand. And again, animals are up and available for viewing there.
Well, and it looks like you have quite a few sponsors again this year.
Yes, we do. And again, we appreciate every single one of them. The Midwest Premier sponsors, we've got Mark and Charlene Gilliland of Gilliland Ranch, John Hale of Red Rock Ranch out of Oklahoma, Chad and Janelle Smith, Smith Longhorns out of North Dakota, and Chris Clark, Circle C, out of Corpus, Texas. And the Trail Ball sponsor, we've got Todd and Kelly McKnight from Cedar View Ranch. They're in Pittsburgh, Kansas. The Cattleman sponsor, Jason and Brooke Linden, Sugar Creek Ranch from Ellsworth. Jay and Angela Coleman, Commitment Ranch, they're by McPherson, Kansas. Aaron and Micah Landis, Landis Farms. They're from North Central Missouri. The Midwest Bull Spotlight, talk about them here in a bit. Terry and Sherry Adcock. Hay sponsors is Jessica Binky and Jim and Becky Rombeck. The Friday night pre-sale party is myself, Justin, and Amanda Rombeck. For the Friday night pre-sale party, the adult beverage sponsor is Jason and Brooke Linden and Brad and Shelley Williams. On Saturday morning, we've got Jay and Angela Cohen from Commitment Ranch again doing our breakfast sponsor. So, enjoy that. Please reach out to these folks as you see them. Just let them know that you appreciate what they're doing to help make this sale a positive experience for all. The water tub sponsor is Tim and Nicole Clark and Legends Longhorn Sale. Darren and Sandy Westbrook, they live south of Wichita, Kansas. He made a bench last year. We did all the brands on. We auctioned it off, and he's made another one of a kind, and it's in the catalog. Really cool bench. It's got engraving on it. It is unique. It says Midwest Texas Longhorn Association, but handcrafted. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and that money will go to help fund our organization, which is a 501c3. I also want to say thank you to the local FFA chapter. They're doing the hay and watering of the animals for this weekend. And then on the Longhorns on Broadway, which is on Thursday, that's sponsored by JBR Longhorns, One Marysville, and Pony Express Barn and Museum. I guess the last thing too is cattle haulers. Wes or Jimmy Clark will be up here, and they can haul animals pretty well anywhere. Joe Solacek, he'll be heading to Oregon next week, so he can haul animals going west. Mike Lutt will be here. He's from northern Nebraska. He'd be happy to haul animals north his direction for folks from like the Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa area. Eddie Draskell, he's from the East Coast. He's hauled animals all over the place. He's getting into hauling and doing a very nice job. And Cale Pierce, they're just outside of the Fort Worth area. If you cannot reach any of them, let me know. We're happy to help. Our live phone number, dads, moms are all listed inside the catalog. If you've got any questions on anything, please feel free to reach out, and we're here to help and make sure everybody has a good time.
And it also mentions in the sale catalog that there's going to be a spotlight bull. You want to talk about the bull that you're featuring?
Yeah, we can do that. The spotlight bull is from Terry and Sherry Adcock, and his name is Jammin' Rebel. He's just shy of 90 inches tip to tip. He's over 2,000 pounds. His daughters are doing very well. There's a lot of bone and capacity. Instead of offering semen on the bull this year, the bull will be here on display, and we are going to offer the opportunity, I believe it is, to sell half interest in him. But this dude is massive. His calves got a lot of growth to him. Pedigree wise, he's a son of Jammin Tex. Jammin is a Jamaican son from Texana Garland gal, so pretty stout pedigree on top. But then on the bottom side, his mom is a big framed rebel daughter, I believe out of a senator daughter. And there's a lot of bone and capacity there. Jammin and Rebel click really hard. That Jammin Rosie cow that was bred by Harrell Ranch, that's that same combination. It's Jammin over a Rebel, and that female is like 110 or 112, and I think she weighs like 1,400 pounds. So truly a special individual. We'll get videos and stuff of him that we'll put on Facebook Live, and we can share that to Hired Hand so people can see it there. We'll have it on Longhorn News and Markets, Longhorn Friends. But he is an outstanding sire. So that is something we're going to be showcasing with him. And we probably actually need to add that as a sale lot onto the page. But I'll verify all that, and we'll get that taken care of here later on today or in the morning.
And if somebody does want to purchase or, are interested in their half, do they contact you? Do they contact
if they would like to contact me, I'm happy to speak on Terry and Cherry's behalf. My phone number is 816-536-1083. I know that the bull has been semen checked. He's been trick tested, and he's current on all vaccinations. We've got DNA pulled on him. We've checked all the boxes. They've done the preliminary testing too, for TLBA requirements to make sure that he can get AS certified. He's disease free on all the things. So, the Adcocks have got one heck of a program they developed over the last 20 plus years. They like big bone, big frame, total package individuals. And they are very strict with their animals too. They have to have milk. They have to be fertile. They don't tolerate bad behavior. Just couldn't speak more highly of Terry and Sherry. They're amazing.
And the last thing before we jump into the consignments, it is said in the catalog that there's going to be a People's Choice Award. How does that take place? How do people vote for whatever they're voting on?
Well, we'll have a piece of paper or a printout there at the desk, and people can go out back. They can look at their animals, and when they fill out their form, they can just take it back to the office, and we'll get that tallied, and we'll make that announcement at sale time on what People's Choice animal was.
Okay, perfect. And the sale starts at 10:30 on Saturday Central Time. I don't know if we've already mentioned that or not, but let's jump into the consignments. The first one we'll talk about is the donation lot from Cedar View Ranch, CV Rebel Sunset.
Yep. Beautiful young heifer. I was actually at Todd's just here the other day, and he has been halter breaking that heifer as well as his actual consignment, the next lot. But this heifer and her siblings, we were able to see them there at Todd's place, and they're like carbon copies of each other. Amazing horn sets. They have a very elegant head, very dominant eye with an ear that comes to a point, so you can see the twist that's going to come through, and there's a lot of stretch. Their mom, the donation heifer's mom and the siblings, they had a sister that sold at Legends a couple years ago, and Chad and Janelle Smith bought her for like $19,000, and she's mid-90s tip to tip, being a Jammin daughter out of that concealed weapon cow. So, and there was also a Jammin son out of that cow that was over 90 inches as a 3.5-year-old, and he made a lot of really fancy calves. So this is not a throwaway situation. This is a true building block for the youth. And Todd and Kelly, they really stepped up the plate on this donation. So how it works, and again, another new program. The folks up in South Dakota, they had something a little bit similar. We put our own spin to this, but we're going to raise money from the crowd And half of, I think the example was given, to say this heifer brings $6,000 and only a youth can buy it. I think it was 16 and younger. Only kids can buy this lot. So just say we raise 10,000 and the heifer brings 6. We're going to give that kid half of that money. So $3,000, the association, the money we raised is going to pay for half that heifer. So the kid is only $3,000 out of pocket. But on the other money that is left over from the sale, or generating positive revenue, the kids that buy in the sale that, under 16 years of age, they will also get a deduction. Say there's 5 kids that buy and we have extra money left over, they'll get a $500 discount on their purchase as well. We're trying to help youth get involved in this business, have a positive cash flow, understanding genetics, nutrition, vaccinations, marketing, business plans. We're trying to set them up and bring in youth that are going to be here for years to come and get them going on the right path. They're not buying something random. This heifer is truly special. And if they've got questions, they can ask my dad, they can ask Todd, they can ask myself, but we want to set people up for success. So that's kind of this investment in the future youth program. That's kind of what we're doing there in a nutshell. And again, if people have got more questions, they can reach out to Dad or I or Todd. All of our phone numbers are listed there online in the catalog, on the flippable catalog. So that's the heifer donation.
Thinking about hosting your own online sale?
With Hired Hand Live, you can run a standalone internet auction right from your ranch. No travel, no weather concerns, no space limitations.
You have the animals? We handle the technology.
It's stress-free, secure, and designed for livestock breeders.
Start your own sale at hiredhandlive.com. Well, let's move on and we'll talk about the scratches that are next. Can you let us go down the rundown of these scratches that you know right now for the sale?
I'm going to try really hard not to miss anything. Scratches that I have right now are Lot 8, Lot 59, Lot 60, and then Brad Williams, he scratched a heifer this morning, but I don't have that lot in front of me.
Real Painted Lady?
That's her. Yep.
Okay. So that's lot 23 is also scratched. Okay.
There you go.
All right. And then also this year, you have a couple other special lots, 2 bull lots in the sale. The first one we'll talk about is lot 11, SL Big Bank from Smith Longhorns.
Yep. They are offering half interest in this bull. He is long as a freight train and got a really nice hip, good scrotal on him, semen checked, ready to go. They pulled DNA on him. I know we've got him at least parent verified to mom. The animal himself, he is going to be double bred Cowboy Tough Tex, and he is double bred Tejas Star. So the cool thing about the line bred Tejas Star is the cow power that brings to the table. On the top side, Grandma is Texana Garland Gal, huge twist producing cow. She's got one daughter that Robert Floyd owns that's bumping 100 inches, and she's got daughters that do the same. Todd Taylor has a son out of her, which is her first bull, and that dude is taller than I am. I stand 5'9.5", and this steer is taller than I am. I think he's like 140 something tip to tip, just absolutely massive. So Garland Gal, and I named her as a legend, I think 2 or 3 years ago on that other event we do. On the bottom side, Grandma is WS Sunstar. She's bred by Tom Smith. She's the mother to Vindicator and several other offspring. Enormous framed cow. And she just had a daughter sell at the Hudson sale a couple weeks ago. Again, also huge. You're going to pull a lot of frame in that old school Emperor Tejas Star combination. You got bone, you got frame, and you get longevity of growth. So Cowboy Tough, you're getting the speed of growth, and you're getting the capacity. And with Teos Star, you're getting that bone capacity and long-term growth. So, this bull, I want to say he was mid 60s at 2. That's off of memory. But because of that longevity that's bred into this dude, he ought to crawl well up there, high 80s, maybe 90, potentially even 100. But you got the brindle that's popping through, just an outstanding calf, opportunity for half interest. And if someone's got questions, again, they can reach out to me or Chad Smith on that. Chad and Janelle, they're up in North Dakota, great folks, big passion, and developed a hell of a program over the last 5 years especially, but they've been in the business for about 20 years and every year making progress and doing lots of homework.
And the other bull in the sale is lot 51, Magnificent 8 GLR.
Yep. Nope. He's another outstanding bull. I was talking to Joe Solacek the other day, and again, this is memory, but I believe he told me that this bull is 98 and 1/8 tip to tip. So definitely not a slouch. This is one of the top measuring bulls in our industry right now. On the top side, he's a royalty, which is Houdini over Tuffet. Tuffet is Cowboy Tough and WS Rising Star. That is a full sister to Sunstar. So there's a little bit of similarity in the two pedigrees. On the bottom side, you got Lazy J's Tabitha. Again, a TCC Houdini out of a Cowboy Tough Check's daughter. So we're double Tough and double Houdini and double Rosemary. If you guys haven't seen how amazing the double red Rosemaries are, look at cows like MN Rebel Zoe that's owned by Whitlock, and look at Rosette that's owned by Tim Clark. These animals are big bodied, they're big horned, and they're total package. This bull is truly special, and he's got this cool like rollout kink to his horns. So this dude is also going to produce a lot of twists. So don't miss the opportunity on either one of these guys. They're truly, truly special.
Are there any subs that we don't know about right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then the next thing we'll talk about are the choice lots in the sale. It looks like there's 6 different choice lots. So the first one we'll talk about is lot 15.
Okay. And instead of choice, we're going to sell them as lot A and B. And so on 15A and 15B, the reason they're put together like this is we're showcasing genetics and clicks and something that is magical and why you should be doing something. Everything we're doing is not just, we're not selling cows. It's a genetic combination and it's being showcased. So both 15A and 15B, they're both Jungle Gym daughters. I personally think JJ is one of the top bulls in our industry right now. He's big, he's tall, he's long. He's got an old school feel about him, but he's passing on modern characteristics. We're seeing a lot of 60-inch 2-year-olds off of him. They're very elegant headed. They have a lot of refinement in their ear. They may not have the natural bulk early on, but as they develop and have babies, they're outstanding mothers and great milkers. His mother being TTT Jam and Jenny. She's right at 100, if not over. Super fertile. And I know that Lane is doing embryo work on her right now, and she's one of the top number producing oocyte cows I've ever seen. So kudos to the fertility in this family. The other thing on 15A and B is on the bottom side, both of these go back to 50-50. Again, that's why we're showcasing them in this order. And as we get further along, we'll be looking at mother and daughter, mother and granddaughters. So it is a showcase opportunity, matching up these genetics to show the public what is working.
So just to clarify, these are not choice lots. You're selling each of these animals. They're just kind of paired together in the catalog for genetic reasons.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next set we'll move on to is lot 22 from Red Rock Ranch.
Okay. Let's back up even one more lot in front of that. So lot 21 is RJF Sweet Thing. She is the mother to 22A, and then you got 22E. So you got 3 generations here that are being showcased. Um, if we can start at 21,
Yeah, go ahead.
that RJF Accelerator, he is a son of Texana Van Horn. And then RJF Sweet Rebellion was an LLL lucky daughter out of Reflect Bar. Reflect Bar was one of our first $100,000 cows that Richard bought private treaty from Don Huber. And she was the poster child for the Horn Showcase, I think, for 6 years. So there's a lot of elegance and history. And then she had other daughters that had sold for $100,000 private treaty for M2 Longhorns. But there's a lot of twist and there's a lot of milk in this entire family. Um, Again, seen Sweet Thing the other day. She is getting a little bit of age on her. She's 11 and a half years old, but she has the utter structure of a 5-year-old in her prime. She's got a heifer calf side, just outstanding family. Jumping down to her daughter, 22A, Brownie Delight, is BG Riptide. He is a Hubble's 20 gauge son out of RC Pacific Mermaid. Who doesn't love a mermaid? Again, you can see this cow. She's got a very nice udder underneath of her. She raises a big solid calf year in, year out. They always breed up. And she's got this really cool frosting roan to her as well. The cow that I think is mid 80s, tip to tip. But again, stout pedigree, amazing mother, very fertile, just a good solid cow. And then 22B, again, we're just carrying on with this same family line with RJF Top Gun. Top Gun is a son of HL Heads Up. Heads Up has sired a couple different daughters that have sold for over $100,000, going back to Jamaicism, Cowboy Tough, and WS Sunstar. We've mentioned that several times already today. Then he also has JBR Net Worth, which is Eternal Diamond, and then Sassy Show Off being another shot of Accelerator in Texana Van Horn. The old school genetics, they have line bred so well. You blend them out for 2 generations and you bring it back to the table and you get this whole new explosion. So when you look at the depth of pedigree and do your homework, you're like, holy crap, I could hit the fast forward button by buying this heifer like 22B. You're hitting the fast forward button in some situations, multiple generations or at least 5 or 6 years. So a stout heifer, perfect conformation, amazing horn set that rolls back really hard. I know these photos are a bit outdated, but we'll be doing Facebook Live post in advance of the sale so people can get a better idea. Instead of just at sale time, we'll have information available sooner than that.
So the next set that we'll move on to is lot 36 A and B, again from Red Rock Ranch.
Okay, 36A, Doherty's Dazzle. She is a Cowboy Tough Tech's daughter from Alan Doherty 349. She ended up stifling herself last year, but a big Jamaicism daughter that in her prime, she topped the Horn Showcase sale and sold for $27,500. Jamaicism daughter out of a clone of Doherty 6. Those that don't know Doherty 6, she produced Phenomenal Dorothy that sold for $100,000 at an early legacy sale. Doherty's Blossom that sold for $36,000, and then that was Doherty's Cupcake, and there's one other one that sold in there for $78,000 that Joe Valentine bought back in the day. So again, more old school from the Doherty program, which is also fun that Frank Doherty, he lived near Fort Scott, Kansas, and made big impacts not only, again, in our state, but surrounding areas and the entire breed. So it's kind of fun to see some of that Doherty blood in this event this year. Let me jump to her daughter here. Her daughter then also being RJF Top Gun. You're going to see that she's going to be double bred Cowboy Tough checks. What we've found doing similar type things at Bentwood is you're getting so much meat and natural thickness and capacity with these tufts. Something that we've also learned from the Dickinson program is when you incorporate WS Jamaicism or drag iron and do some line breeding with something that's heavy influence, example tough, you get these massive explosions. And I guess with 401k, the grandpa, he goes back to Jamaicism as well. So you're double tough, double Jamaicism. This heifer, she checks all the boxes. And again, this is one of those deals where you hit the fast forward button by numerous years.
So the next set that we'll talk about is lot 41 A and B. They are from Dinsmore Stock Farm.
Yep. Nelson is over there in central Missouri, does not have a big program, but is definitely swinging for the fences with quality. He does a lot of retention. He'll buy a female occasionally here and there, but he cherry picks with precision. They have to have the bone, the foot, the udder, the pedigree. And that's what we're seeing here on 41A. She's a daughter of Rimstar DC. He's a PCC Rimrock son out of WS Sunstar. And then on her bottom side, you're going to go back to a cow called Black Pearl, which is Spur Texa, Tempter, and ECR Trinitari, and then Black Ice YS, which is Wyoming Warpaint and LTL Diego's Domino. And that cow was a multi-paternity champion, and she had sold for $20,000 or $30,000 back in the day when, $10,000 was unheard of. But she had topped at least 2 different sales in her career. And there's a lot of black that pulls through in that family. So again, you got Sunstar, PCC Horizon, Teostar, Tempter. It just very packed pedigree. What Nelson had done is he had bred her, got a couple different daughters off of her, and then the next lot is her granddaughter that we are offering. And that granddaughter, if you go to Hired Hand, it is more updated than what the catalog has to offer. This heifer is extremely flat and lateral. And if we remember back to the donation lot of Todd and Kelly's, I told you how amazing the pedigree was, and that CW daughter was such a good producer. That cow being CV Sunnybrook, she's a concealed weapon daughter from Rutledge's Miss Brook. That bull CV text me is out of Sunnybrook. So a lot of depth of pedigree there. Again, we're bringing in Jammin' Texana Garland gal, another dose of Jamaicism. On the bottom side, you've got CV Cowboy Casanova, a bull that was syndicated and sold for $100,000 each. Gala Show of Stars, she's got 1 or 2 daughters that are over 100, 2 others that are mid 90s, and she's been named as a legend. Then you go Rimstar DC, his mom and dad are both legends. Again, another heifer. This pedigree is just absolutely stacked. A perfect horn set. Nelson's got a beautiful feeding program. These animals are going to be good footed. They're going to come in perfect shape. They're going to be perfectly vaccinated. You're not going to have any issues. Just another outstanding young female.
The next 2 we'll talk about is lot 45 A and B from McKenna Branson. Some of the strongest advocates for the Texas Longhorn breed aren't breeders yet. They're young people who already love these cattle.
For 30 years, the Longhorn Project has given students a chance to raise, care for, and show Texas Longhorns, while also learning agriculture, business, leadership, and responsibility.
It's a program that builds confidence, character, and the next generation of cattlemen and cattlewomen.
As they celebrate 30 years in 2026, learn how you can support their mission or get involved at thelonghornproject.com.
This young lady, she's in college and generating some money. She's got a few cows that she deals with her folks and grandparents. So 45A is a Rebel HR daughter. Again, these Rebel daughters are very productive, very fertile. They've got a lot of capacity on them. What they did to create the next lot is they had bred her to Warlock HR, who's a bull that Scott Picker in 1886 owned, bred by Harrell's. He's right at or is 100 inches tip to tip, a lot of total horn, a lot of paint. Why this is special is you're going to find this double bred Rosemary. talked about it several times, but that is truly magical. Another keynote within that pedigree is that HR White Shield. She's a commando daughter out of Shamrock's Mike Rose. Shamrock's Mike Rose's mother, Rio Rose, also produced Rescue Me, that produced Rescued, that is at 110 inches. And I think she produced another 4 daughters that are over 90. Again, you're looking at consistency and making the next generation better. And it's not by luck. It's because of stacked genetics that have a reason and a purpose to be better the next generation.
Okay, and the last set of AB lots is from the Clark Bolin partnership, lots 47A and 47B.
Okay. Another fun combination here that does the same combination. We're getting that double red rosemary is the outcome. But 47A is a rebel daughter out of BL Monica Tough. That is a cow that sold for $165,000 at our Legends event a couple of years ago. They still have some other daughters or sisters to this indulgence cow that they've retained within the program. And I think there's 1 or 2 of them that are bumping 90 or maybe even mid 90s. Monica Tough had a daughter that just sold at the Hudson sale. Diamond B just sold, I think it was for 20,000. She herself is mid 90s, and she goes back to that really good Monica blood that Loomis has had. So Rebel over Tough definitely works. Next generation, we're going on to 47B. We incorporated BR Jungle Gym. That gives us the double red rosemary. We're stacking 100-inch genetics in there. And this heifer is very elegant, very long, and has got a nice early roll to her horns. We've had 3 or 4 phone calls on this heifer already. I think is definitely going to be a sale highlight.
Okay, well, now let's jump into catalog roulette. I'm going to randomly pick a lot, and then you tell us everything you know about her. You ready?
Let's dance.
Okay, so we'll start with lot 3, 24 LF Kids Secret from Aaron and Micah Landys.
Okay. She is a daughter of Kid Rock. Kid Rock is the longest horn bull in the industry right now, tip to tip and total horn. His offspring are built like a brick house. They are super deep. They have a lot of springer rib, an incredible hip. You got Cowboy Tough and Overkill back there on the top side. And that Killer Soup, his mom, there's a ton of twist that's coming through, which you'll also see. There was 4 daughters that sold at the Hudson sale out of Kid Rock, and they all crank back. They're 12 to 15 inches behind their pole. So you're going to catch a lot of twist. His earliest daughters, there's a lot of milk. On the bottom side, you got JY Grand Secret Weapon, cow that's in her high 80s, pretty brindle cow, lots of milk. You're looking at Austin, Texas, which was Jamaicism and ECR Eternal Tari. Below that, you got JP Rio Grande and My Sharona, which was a straight Butler cow that had sold for over $20,000 too. So very in-depth pedigree, hell of a young heifer. She's got a lot of brindle, big future ahead of her. Let's see, give me 2 seconds. Here on their website, it showed she measured 46.5 on 526. So this heifer is going to be mid to high 50s as a 2-year-old. Again, I made the statement earlier. This sale's got tons of depth of pedigree, and this female is worth taking home and creating and developing multiple generations of foundation cows out of.
Well, next up is lot 9, RCC Royal Princess from J Bar J Longhorns.
Her sire is a bull called Half Link, goes back to HL Missing Link, which is 50-50 BCB and DO Miss Grand. 50-50 is the number 1 leading sire of the most 100-inch daughters right now. He's had animals that have sold for over 200,000. He's an animal that brings a lot of stretch and a lot of natural elegance and a lot of twist to the table. Halflink's Dam Dio Miss Grant is one of my favorite cows of all time. cool thing about the DO is that Orrin Odell, they are from Osawatomie, Kansas. They are now out of the business, but again, it's fun to say a Kansas cow has made a breed impact. We're going to see Zeus EOT in this pedigree. That's a full brother to BL Rio Catch It. Going down to the bottom side, grandsire is JBR American Patriot, which is Archer Texa over Eternal Diamond. Archer Texa was a Jamaicism son from Texana Van Horn. Eternal Diamond, when she passed, she was 102 with 2 inches off of one horn. And then you see LLL Maximilian. That's his full brother to Showtime Mona Lisa. And his mom, their mom, was Horsehead Showtime. Big handlebar rollout twist. Again, a lot of frame, a lot of meat. There's a lot of milk within this family as well. So very super nice bred heifer, bred by Rusty Clark. Back in the fall, she was 48 3/4. I know we'll have updated measurements to come to you from the block as well. But just a solid young female that has a lot to offer.
Well, you mentioned Orrin Odell, Dio, which is kind of a blast from the past. This next one, Sire, is also kind of a blast from the past. It's lot 12, Sharp Rose CCR, with the sire of Sharpshooter from Royal Heritage Farms.
Sharp Rose CCR. So that is a partnership animal that Joe Gibbons and I have. And she was an AI calf bred by the partnership. Actually, I think this calf was conceived while Mike Lutt owned Rio Rose. And this combination would making this female a full sister to TCC Houdini. We've seen that earlier, and I mentioned that Houdini also sired Jungle Jim. He produced a 100-inch cow that I own with Chad Smith called Houdini's Annie, and then also produced another one called Houdini's Rosemary, and that female is, I think, one of the top tip-to-tip cows in our breed right now. So really special heifer. On the bottom side, that HR Rio Rose, she's going to go back to JP Rio Grande. As a grandpa, you're going to find some Senator blood back there, and then Slams Rose that also produced Rebel HR. She's also got a daughter with Vindicator that's bumping 100. That Slams Rose had an outstanding career. This young lady here, she has got a heifer calf at side by Mount Rebel. Mount Rebel was a Rebel son out of a daughter of JBR Royal Mountie, going back to some Dr. Berry stuff out of Louisiana. So a lot of old school coming in with this heifer. But Joe said her calf is really flashy. She's doing a great job as a first-time mother and a lot of milk, but a female that's got a lot of promise.
The next one we'll talk about is lot 18, GLR Cactus Mermaid Gal from Mark Gilland.
Okay, this female Cactus Mermaid Gal is sired by multi Horn Showcase champion and Fraternity champion and Legends Grand champion Bull PCC Cactus Jack. His sire is CR Apollo, going back to Conceal Weapon, and Venus in Red, who is a cow that was right at 100 inches, an Archer Texa daughter. So again, we're bringing in another shot of Jamaicism. We're doing another shot of Texana Van Horn. Below that, you got Cowboy Tough and LR Daydreamer, a cow that had done really well for Bob Larson. And she had a daughter that sold to the Sillers for $134,000 as a 2-year-old at the Legacy sale. Going down a little bit more in the pedigree, on the bottom side, you're going to see RC Tsunami 2, another CW over RC Pacific Mermaid, another Larson cow that made a massive impact within the breed. She's now owned by the Shakotas, but made huge impacts, numerous offspring that are in the 90s and hundreds, and a cow that will never be forgotten. And on the very bottom, we've got Cowboy Casanova. There's a lot of those genetics in the sale today. This bull is 16 years old, and he was still covering a cow the other day while I was down there, and he's in perfect shape. You'd never guess this bull is maybe more than 9, but Todd and Kelly have kept him in great shape. And then you'll see SL Selena's Ace. When the Adcocks bought her at a Midwest sale, I think they paid $25,000 back in the day. She's no longer here, but multiple generations still running through the Adcock program with that Selena's Ace. So tons of depth of pedigree. She's second generation off of Mark and Charlene's outfit. They've kept a good bit of these genetics within their program. So again, we're looking at a showcase animal. This is not just something, hey, we want to move it and get rid of it. This is a showcase opportunity. They're utilizing the genetics, siblings, mom, still within the program. So we are excited to have them be so involved and really do appreciate Mark and Charlene so much.
Move on to a consignment from Lynch Farms, lot 29, BCR Yes I Is 811.
I think this heifer is pretty fun. Looking at the top side of her pedigree, that Cowboy Cadence. You got Cowboy Checks, so he'd be a half brother to Cowboy Casanova. He'd be a half brother to Cowboy Tough Checks. But where it gets really exciting is this Horseshoe J Cadence cow. Lot of twist. Again, she's sold for a lot of money a couple different times. She is now passed, but you got Gunman on the top side, but you got Royal Reputation. Royal Reputation, I think it was Legacy number 2, maybe. She sold for $150,000. Again, old school, Emperor bred. You're looking at longevity. Some of these heifers, they may only come out and be 42 inches as a 2-year-old. And a lot of people today would go, oh man, that's a cull, get rid of it. But you have to understand the genetics, the bone, the frame, the twist, and it comes on. Her tempter daughter, she's got at least one, if not 2 tempter daughters that are over 100. These are old school foundation, but you have to understand growth patterns. Don't make rash early decisions. Do your homework. Gunman-based genetics are typically fast. The Emperor bred, Teos Star bred, Texana Van Horn, you're looking at longevity. This Royal Rotation is longevity. Knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and when to be patient. But based on pedigree on the top side, man, this is super cool. And then it's equally as exciting on the bottom side. This Carolina Izzy, again, is a huge horn cow owned by Bull Creek. You're going to find 50-50 in there again. Bandera Checks. He's a half brother to Cowboy Checks. And you got Ring-a-Ling going back to Rutledge's Dinger. Watson 167. It was a top-end bull that the bull program used for quite some time as well. So exceptional young female with a lot of power.
Imagine managing your animals and updating your website without needing any tech experience.
That's exactly why we built Hired Hand software. It's designed for breeders, not web designers.
Upload animals, track records and new calves, update photos, all in just a few clicks.
Whether you're brand new or growing a multi-breed program, we make sure your online presence is easy, modern, and manageable.
Visit hiredhandsoftware.com and see how simple it can be to keep your herd and your website up to date.
This next one is lot 32, Safari Raven from 3P Ranch, Jason and Barb Shigoda.
Beautiful female, a lot of frame on this cow too. She's got a lot of daylight underneath of her. And we'll talk about that. She gets that from her bottom side of her pedigree. These Delta Lucky Ace cows, they're long, they're tall, they're very trim, especially through their underline, through their throat latch, and they're good footed. So you can see this cow herself. She's got a nice paint job. Delta Lucky Ace. He had full siblings were equally as outstanding, but that line bred Gunman, it was explosive. On the bottom side, we're going to find even more Gunman influence because you've got JP Rio Grande twice, who's a son of JR Grand Slam. You've got Indian Safari, which is a far lap checks. It goes back to a Coach Safari and then Night Safari. Again, all household names. And then Hubble's Rio K. She is a granddaughter of Hubble's Shadow K that the Meredith bought at Legacy number 1 or number 2 for $50,000 also. So again, we're looking at a lot of speed in genetics. We're looking at a lot of bone, the Dickinson genetics with the Shadow. And then you got Overwhelming Icon, which is Overwhelmer. His full sister was Overland, which was the base of all the twists that you see in the Stockton Burton programs back in the day. So all that corkscrew, that's where Overwhelming Icon and Overland play into this deal too. So again, another fun female. She does have a calf at side, I believe. Give me a second. No, she does not. They retained a calf and she is bred back. So again, beautiful consignment. Jason and Barb are very well socialized with their animals. I know they are very adamant too on their testing. So you're looking at BVD, BOV, Yonis free. And that's something we'll be announcing from the block too on those folks that are doing their extra homework and putting that extra energy in. We'll be making those announcements from the block. I know that there's a lot of programs that are starting to move that direction, trying to keep herds as clean as absolutely possible. So kudos to Jason and Barb for being a leader in the industry.
The next one is from J2 Ranch, the Jarnigans, lot 39, Miles of Iron.
She is sired by Drag Iron, again, total household name. Did amazing things for Dickinson's, did amazing things for the Glendenning Farms. Several really big sons and daughters. Amazing colors that pop through, a lot of brindle, a lot of bone. The Buckwind Bull, he's taken over his daddy's footsteps for Glendenning's, and really putting them on the map. He's had a couple daughters that have brought $40,000-$50,000 this spring. Drag Iron has accomplished the same things with daughters bringing $50,000 and $60,000 this year alone, with some of them bringing into the six figures. On the bottom side, you're going to see some more of that Dickinson influence going through Mile Marker, The Shadow Unchecked, which was VJ Tommy. You got Unloofed, another VJ Tommy behind that. Again, you're just going to see that bone and capacity. And again, this female, you can see that she expresses that naturally herself. And the outfits that these cattle are running on for J2 and also Freeman, because they've got some partnership animals in the sale, these are big ranches, folks. This is not like, hey, we got her in a 20-acre or 40-acre pasture and she can walk over and get a drink of water. Some of these pastures are 700 to several thousand acres. These cows have got to go out and work and make a living. And when they can hold their body conditioning like this and raise a calf like they do, these are true foundation females that can go out in the harshest conditions and make you proud. So again, J2's done a great job. Amazing female, and looking forward to seeing the cow in person.
Next up is lot 44 from Lookout Mountain Longhorns, GLR Tough Emerald Gal.
Okay, this is a bull. Her sire is a bull, Texas Tough GLR. He was an embryo calf that Mark had purchased back in the day. He got several females and I think one or two bulls off of this. But Texas Tough is a Cowboy Tough Check son out of RM Touch and Whirl Pat. Cow that had raised many daughters that were in their 90s in the time where that was completely unheard of. Her dad, Touchdown of RM, also produced females like RM OK Lady Pat that was 100 inches. You'll see some old school RM breeding, RM Miss Whirlwind, going back to some YO. Again, there's a lot of brindle that comes through with this. There's a lot of old school twist and longevity. I mean, a lot of these cows, they'd breed, well into their teens and early 20s and just keep on chugging. And it didn't matter the environment, if it was rough West Country's hill country or if they moved up to Michigan. These are cattle that they were hardy and they were old school. And that's the base of genetics that we want to retain within this industry. This is something that sets us apart. A lot of these stock cows, and I run commercial cattle as well, but a lot of these cows, they get 8, 10, 12 years old, and they're going to get a little bit short in the tooth, or they're going to start not maybe breeding back quite as well. But, like this female's grandma, RM Miss Whirlwind, the longevity there was just crazy. Her final year, she was out in Oregon, and this cow is out on 3,500 acre range, and she'd still pull in a big fat calf every year until she died. Bottom side of the pedigree, we're looking at WS Elevation, Cowboy Upchecks. That's a full brother to Cowboy Tough, Cowboy Ketchachecks. Again, we're going to talk about WS Sunstar. That's his mom. She had a heck of a career. And then we're looking at Pacific Diamond Lil. That cow, she's brought 40, 50,000 at a past Macomb sale, was a top selling female. You got Santee checks. He was a tough son. He was a cowboy check son out of BL, Awesome Blossom. She wasn't a big cow, but crazy milker. You would swear she had dairy in her. But that's one thing I loved about the Old Bull coach. The amount of milk that he brought forth, especially crossing on Emperor genetics and Hoffman kind of cows that Loomis was using back in the day. Creekmore's awesome. That's another cow, a lot of longevity. She had her last calf at 19 and had a crazy udder. I mean, we're talking about weaning Longhorn calves at 500 pounds, same as a lot of beef cattle. And that's no creep, nothing special, just mama's milk. And you're getting a lot of that in here. Okay, last cow I'm going to talk about in this pedigree, well, maybe, is Leah Lee, who's currently owned by Whitlock and McIntyre. She's right at 100. She weighs probably about 1,300 pounds, a lot of milk, and she's a ZD Kelly out of a Vicky Feisty Lee, who is a clone of Dave's Feisty Fanny, a cow that brought 59,000 at a past Macomb sale. So again, we're looking at a ton of depth here on this individual, and quite excited to see her in person.
Well, next up is from the auctioneer himself, SA Longhorns, Sean and Allison Sayer, Lot 50, WSR Shiloh.
I seen this cow for the first time last fall, and I go, holy crap, who is she? She is gorgeous. She is long, she is tall, and the corkscrew twist that she exhibits is so cool. She's sired by Lazy J's bow hunter. He was a bull. It goes back to Hunt's Commander Respect genetics. Hunt's HCR Cherry Bomber. Bow hunter and Cherry Bomber, both of their daughters, a major setback and a lot of twists coming through. On Bow Hunter, his bottom side, you're also going to see that he goes back to Top Caliber. For those that don't know, he was a full brother to Sitting Bull. Going back beyond that, their mom is Hash Brown. Hash Brown's mom was Hash Knife. Hash Knife is also the great-great-grandma to Cowboy Tough Checks. Another reason in this distant line breeding, you see that HCR and the Cowboy Tough Checks really click. That old Hash Knife cow was magical. So very important. So that's the top side of the pedigree. Now we're going to jump to the bottom. RJL Hope's Diamond. Goes back to Chuck Wagon, which was Tari Graves. Then Shamrock's Eternal Hope is the grandma on the bottom side, which is Sitting Bull and ECR Eternal Tari. ECR Eternal Tari has 3 or 4 different daughters that went over 100 inches tip to tip, making her one of the all-time leading cows in doing so. But again, I just mentioned Top Caliber and Sitting Bull, full brothers. And that line bred Hash Knife cow, and then you're bringing in another shot of HCR in there. This cow is big, she's long, she's tall, she's thick, but I love the twist. Very elegant female.
Well, talking about large ranches, the next one we'll go to is Lot 57 from the Freeman Ranch with Russell and Jamie Freeman, Dragon Van Horn.
This is another female I can't wait to see in person. Many generations of black, both here, top and bottom. Dragon Slayer, big framed bull, son of Drag Iron. We've talked about him several times today. You go to MR3 Socks, and she had won, I think, the Horn Showcase and Total Horn. Her sire, LC Bladen, had won the Horn Showcase and Total Horn. His dad won the Horn Showcase, and then his dad being Hunt's Commander Respect. But you also go back to Overkill in there. So you're multiple generations of black on the top side, multiple generations of Horn Showcase champions. On the bottom side of this, the Shamrock Little Blackie, she was an all-black cow. She produced a bull for Chad Smith, SL Cowboy Grande. This female here, Dragon Van Horn, but you've got Starliner, which is headliner over Starlight. Starlight was one of the longest horn cows in our breed back in the day. And Latter part of her years, her udder was not attractive, but a crazy amount of milk. But you could line breed Starlight twice, and it actually refined the udder. Um, Again, a crazy abundance of milk, and there's a lot of black and white in there. Diego's hot shot. The other fun thing with Delta Van Horn is everything that cow produced, and she clicked with about anything. Remember earlier, I also made the statement of knowing your genetics. The Dixie Top Deck being Emperor and Delta Van Horn, same. Most of the stuff from Delta Van Horn, when Todd Taylor had them early on, they were really far behind. So most of them went to the sale barn. Well, there were, I think it was Tejas Star was scheduled to go. They couldn't catch him that day. So he just stayed out in the pasture and he started developing and he kicked it in gear. And I think Texana Van Horn is kind of the same way. Just they were so disappointed on, hey, these animals should be doing better out of what a magnificent cow Delta Van Horn was in their time. They didn't kick in until they were after 2. And then you look at the production and the impact that they've made. And this line of cattle is never going to be forgotten. Shamrock Little Blackie, she's got full siblings that have done outstanding as well. A predominant one being Shamrock My World, a major producing cow as well. So great young cow, a lot of black and white, extreme depth of pedigree. And it's a little bit more unconventional in what we'd see today, but do not underwrite this female. The black and white will come through, the longevity of growth will come through. And if you're into black and white, you got a real strong probability of creating some homozygous blacks with this.
And the last one we'll talk about is lot 66, Hubble's Catch It Annie from the Robeson Ranch.
Most folks do not know the Robesons. They are quiet and they are reserved, but they are so genuine. They do their homework. They love their animals. They're out there with them all the time. Their grandson is very involved with their program as well. The cows do not go without whatever. They're going to be fed before you go home and have supper yourself. Pedigree wise, we got Cowboy Catch It checks. Again, full brother Tough, full brother Up. And then Mike Davis has a full sister as well that has done extremely well. For him, I think he paid $50,000 for her. On the bottom side, you're going to see JP Rio Grande and Hubble's Miss Annie, which is her grandma, goes back to Overwhelming Icon. Icon being a full sibling to Overland. So when you do look at this pedigree, you're going to see a lot of twists. Going back one more generation behind Hubble's Miss Annie, you got Hubble's Miss Ronita, which was Watson 83. Watson 83 is out of Watson Independence. That was the base for the entire Watson program's corkscrew. They're, I want to say, it's either Independence or her mom is hanging in Cindy Boland's house, and you can see the corkscrew, and quite neat. And there's that one more shot of Emperor. So you've got the bone, you got the structure, and we're balancing out speed versus longevity, and you're going to have an abundance of milk. And it's chill disposition. Again, these animals are handled daily out there on the ranch. But Robesons, they're just great folks. And if you don't know them, I definitely encourage you to do it. They're amazing.
Well, and this brings us to Sunday. What time should everyone have their cattle out?
We would prefer that everybody is loaded out and gone from the barn, so we can go through, pick up the rest of the tubs, take down all the pen signs, and just kind of get the barn back in normal order. We prefer them to be gone by probably 11 or 12 at the absolute latest. We'll have folks there to help immediately after the sale is over, and then again on Saturday morning, just to make sure all the animals get on the right trailer. And we just want everybody to walk away and have a good time. From the time you guys get here, doing the Longhorns on Broadway to the party here at our place on Friday night, doing the sale on Saturday, we want it to feel like more of a family reunion. just good old boys, good old girls having a good time, sharing camaraderie, sharing stories, building new relationships, and at the end of the day, taking home some nice animals that can make a positive impact within the program.
Justin, thanks for joining us, and make sure to check out the Midwest Association sale consignments ahead of sale day and follow us for more updates. Until next time.